who's actually going to get the most out of the Atom Audio A77H, who can safely walk away, and does the price make sense for a hobby-level home studio versus a professional mix room? That's the decision you'll be wrestling with before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Most people buying a powered studio monitor are torn between chasing the glossy marketing claims and fearing they'll end up with a pair that sounds great on a test bench but falls flat in their actual room. In this review, I'm going to walk through the real-world setup quirks, the everyday usability, and the hidden trade-offs that only show up after you've plugged the speakers into your mix. First off, let's talk about the category you're dealing with. A powered studio monitor with a 7-inch low-frequency driver, a dedicated 3.5-inch mid-range, and a rotatable XART high-frequency element lands you squarely in the large-room-compatible tier. Most monitors in the 6-8-inch range are built for engineers who need enough bass extension to hear the sub-bass content without adding a separate subwoofer, while still keeping the upper mids clear enough for critical editing. The A77H's DSP-based tuning means each cabinet can be calibrated to your room's acoustics, which is a big plus if you've ever spent hours chasing room modes with a cheap pair that just flat-out can't cope. In practice, that means you can dial in a tighter low end at home, but you also have to be comfortable with the software interface and be willing to spend a few minutes measuring your listening position. If you've already measured your room with a mic and a calibration app, the A77H slots right into that workflow. If you've never calibrated anything before, you'll probably need to follow the on-screen wizard and accept a little trial and error. So, who should actually consider buying these monitors? If you're a producer or mixing engineer who works in a space that's at least 150 square feet, the extra driver size will give you a more reliable bass response than a 5-inch alternative. The rotatable XART driver shines when you need to point the high-frequency sweet spot toward a specific listening position, say, a dual monitor setup in a small control room where the listener sits off-axis. In my own testing, placing the high-frequency array at a slight inward angle reduced the bright edge that many engineers complain about on larger cabinets, letting the mids breathe without the treble screaming. The DSP tuning also lets you correct for a slightly reflective wall behind the speakers. You can lower the low-frequency output just enough to avoid a booming room gain without sacrificing punch. If you regularly mix genres that demand precise low-end definition hip-hop, EDM, or film scores, those 7-inch LF drivers will let you hear sub-bass that would otherwise be masked on a smaller monitor. The built-in amplification means you don't have to match the power rating to an external amp, which reduces the chance of clipping or distortion when you push the mix hot. For anyone who already invests in acoustic treatment and wants a monitor that can actually benefit from those tweaks, the A77H feels like a natural next step. Now, let's be honest about the downsides. The first practical weakness is size and weight. At roughly 30 kilograms per unit, these monitors are not something you can casually move around the house or pop into a client's temporary studio without a dolly and a couple of strong arms. The footprint also means you need a decent amount of desk or rack space, which can be a problem in cramped home setups where a 5-inch pair would fit more comfortably. Secondly, the DSP interface, while powerful, is a bit dated. You navigate through a series of menus rather than a sleek graphical EQ, and you'll need to install the Atom Audio software on a Windows or Mac OS machine. If you're looking for a plug-and-play solution with no software steps, you'll feel a little friction. Finally, the price point lands you in the upper mid-tier, significantly higher than a pair of entry-level 6-inch monitors. If you're an amateur producer who mostly works on vocal demos or simple beatmaking, the extra low-end accuracy might be overkill, and you could allocate that budget toward better acoustic panels or a higher-resolution audio interface instead. In short, the A77H rewards careful room setup and a need for accurate bass. It penalizes the casual user who just wants a quick start monitor. Wrapping it all up, the Atom Audio A77H is a very capable monitor for anyone who takes room acoustics seriously and needs that extra low-frequency muscle without adding a separate sub. It shines in larger rooms, for genre-spanning producers, and for engineers who like the flexibility of rotating the high-frequency driver. If you're on a tight budget, have limited space, or prefer a truly plug-and-play experience, you'll probably be better served by a smaller, less feature-heavy model. As always, make sure the monitor fits your workflow before you commit. Listen to a demo if you can, run a quick calibration, and picture where they'll sit in your room. Link is in the description if